Too often on the carnivore diet, we look at videos on YouTube and all we see is about all the great benefits and so forth. But what we don't hear a lot about is how hard it can be at times. You know, the struggles that we have as we try and stay full carnivore or just different things that happen, right? So today's video, I'm going to talk to you about what's more recently happened to me where it was just an epic fail. Hi, my name is Brian, and I have been on the carnivore diet for over a year. In that time period, I have lost more than 75 pounds, and I have healed things such as arthritis, joint pain, mild depression. My energy levels have spiked way up, and also I have not had an AFib episode in more than a year. So this weekend, this past weekend here, I took my youngest daughter to school for her freshman year in college. And we were down in South Carolina, Myrtle Beach area. And typically when we've gone out of town, there's been maybe a little bit of gray area in my eating, but not really that bad. Sometimes I do really well. And then, sometimes I might have like some mashed potatoes or something with a steak at a dinner or something like that. But this weekend was an epic fail for me. I got really bad with my diet. So really, it started okay. This was on Thursday, and things, went fairly well. Friday is when it got a little rough. So other people had like coffee and stuff like that first thing in the morning, and I'm not a coffee drinker, so I didn't have anything. But then when it was time for lunch, we were working still on moving my daughter into her dorm, and some people ordered food from Jersey Mike's. And I don't know why I didn't just do a bowl, like you can do a cheesesteak bowl, for instance, right? But I decided to just do the sandwich, so I ate the bread. And it was supposed to have onion in it. I was going to be like, yeah, give me the steak, the cheese, and the onion. And then it was supposed to be on the bread. It didn't have the onion. They didn't put the onion in it for some reason. So that was probably good. But I did have the bread. And then later that evening, I had chicken wings for dinner, but I did have some chips and queso. So that wasn't really the best for me either. But we were meeting my sister, who I hadn't seen in probably close to a year or so, because she's down in South Carolina, and I just hadn't. I'm up in Virginia, several hours away, so I hadn't seen her. So we met her for dinner, and I stayed away from drinking alcohol and that kind of stuff at dinner, but I did have the chips and queso as part of the appetizer. So that wasn't the best in the world for me. My chicken wings, though, were pretty good. They had Old Bay seasoning on them, but they were, a dry rub. So no sauces that had like sugar or anything like that. And they were smoked chicken wings, which were pretty good. All right. So this is Friday evening. And at that point, we had dropped my daughter off at the dorm. And we decided that we were going to have a little drink, kind of drown our sorrows of dropping off our baby daughter for college. And I didn't want to drink too much, especially since I've got diagnosed with AFib in 2018. I've tried to stay away from alcohol for the most part, but I did have a can of something that was like a margarita type thing. And I actually did get a little bit of a buzz from it, which was kind of interesting in the past that when it happened. But again, I don't drink very often. But the next day on Saturday, I started to develop some sinus issues. And this happened to me the last time I drank as well. So it does seem like I get sinus issues, sinus infection, and so forth from drinking alcohol, which is pretty interesting. But definitely that drink that I had sugar in it. So again, not a great job with my carnivore way of eating, my carnivore lifestyle, right? So then now this takes us to Saturday, and Saturday morning we were getting ready to start heading back. So it was a little bit later in the morning, and everybody wanted to stop at Dunkin' Donuts. So I was like, okay, I don't know. I guess the cravings, because I hadn't been eating very well the last day or two, I decided to have a donut. So I had a donut. I also got a sausage McMuffin type thing, but it wasn't McDonald's, so it wasn't McMuffin, but a sausage muffin thing. And I did have the muffin part. So I had sausage, cheese, and muffin. So again, the muffin, the carbs, and these are like breads that I hadn't usually been eating. So this is interesting for me. And it just kind of started, I guess, a snowball effect in my eating and craving of carbs again. So then, I can't even remember exactly what I ate later in the day on Saturday, but I don't think it was that bad. I think it was chicken wings again. So I don't think it was too bad. But then Sunday, so we got home late Saturday. On Sunday, my wife was still kind of sad about the whole thing with leaving our daughter for college. And one of her favorite places to go eat is an Italian restaurant called Carrabba's. So I took her there and had intentions of finding something decent to eat. The first problem was I actually had a couple of pieces of the bread that you can dip in like an olive oil based stuff. So I had some of that, which I normally would not do. And then I ended up getting lasagna, which of course has pasta noodles. So I had that as well. So Sunday wasn't as good of a day either for me. So the whole weekend thing here, really Friday, Saturday, Sunday, just was a fail for me in terms of the way I normally eat. And it has affected me a bit. I don't feel quite the same. And like I said, with the drinking, I've had some sinus issues, a bit of a sinus infection. I've had some draining, from the sinuses. So I've been dealing with that. All right. So now yesterday, which would have been Monday, I tried to get back to things and I did a pretty good job. I did not have anything bad. I had a 20-ounce ribeye that was seasoned with Redmond salt 24 hours ahead of time in the fridge. And then I took it out, got it to room temperature, and cooked it on the pellet grill at home. And I had that with a little bit of melted butter on top of it. And that filled me up pretty well. And that was all that I ate yesterday. So it was a good job for me of getting back to it. I can tell you that I have been dealing a bit with the cravings again, though, since I had the weekend where I just blew it, right? And this takes me to the lesson here, I guess, that I want you all to be able to take away from this. Too often on YouTube, we just talk about the good things with carnivore and how it's great and you lose weight and you feel better and all that stuff. And we make it sound like it's all easy to do and really simple, but it's not always easy, especially if you're the type of person that I am, where if you have a little bit of carb or sugar, it kind of sets you off and gives you those cravings again. And that's what happened to me over the weekend. And, it just shows that this way of eating is still difficult to do if your entire life you've been used to eating sugary foods and processed foods and, whatever carbs and so forth. I'm sure as I continue on, it's going to get better and easier for me. And I haven't really had really bad days or weekends like this for the most part in probably at least 6 or 7 months. But this did still happen here, and I'm a little over a year into carnivore. So it does show that that kind of thing can happen if you don't have enough willpower and you give into it like I did this weekend. I'm sure, with taking my youngest to college and having her go away from us for the first time really in her life, that had a lot to do with it, that I was, not as strong as I normally am, and I allowed myself to eat badly. But it just shows that, it's not always good things that happen just because you're on the carnivore diet, right? Sometimes you do mess up. Sometimes you do fall into these bad tendencies and go back to eating something that you shouldn't eat, and that it can be a struggle sometimes, right? And sometimes you really have to struggle with that and try to not do that. So I wanted to show you all that today and just show you that even for me, that is over a year doing the carnivore diet, I still have times that I do struggle with things. And, it's not just a short race. This is a marathon. This is about being healthy. And, yes, I lose weight, but that's not my number one concern. It's about being healthy and being able to provide for my family and, hopefully living a longer life. And, just like anything else, you have to work at it. It doesn't necessarily come easy for people to do this, especially if they're not 5-10 years into it where everything's routine, right? So that's how it was here for me. And also just to show you a little bit, I was down to 295 pounds, and that was before going on this trip this weekend. And I am now at 301. So I've gained 6 pounds from the bad eating. Most of that is probably water weight. And I understand that it'll probably come off, but it's going to probably take me a week or so, maybe even 2 weeks to get back to 295, just knowing how my body works. So it's a bit of a setback, but it's understandable because of the way I ate. And, it's just one of those things that I struggled with it, and I didn't want to not share this and just act like everything is great with doing carnivore, because this is real life. This is sometimes what happens. And if you're newer on carnivore, I want you to be able to see this experience I had, and maybe it can help you. And maybe it helps you with your confidence too, because you might be struggling and thinking, God, I keep watching everybody's videos and everything's going so great for them, but it's a hard for me. And why is that? Well, it's probably because we just don't do a good job of showing how hard it can be at times. And we like to show the benefits of the carnivore diet because we want to promote it. But, just like any diet or anything you do, it takes work. And that's just like, I'm married, and, for my wife, we've been married for, it's almost 26 years now. And, it takes work to, get through certain things that happen in marriage and so forth. And to be married for 26 years is a really difficult thing at times, right? It's hard. You have to work at it. And that's the same with carnivore. Like, it's not always easy. There are times that are difficult and you have to work at it. So just keep that in mind, that as you're doing carnivore, don't get too upset with yourself if you run into situations where it's hard. And you might have trouble at times, and struggle and, cheat, eat something that you shouldn't. And, it would obviously be better if you didn't, but we're all human. We're going to struggle at times. We're going to make mistakes. And the thing is, get back right on it and, eating the proper human diet, and you'll be fine. So I really hope that this video helped you. And, if you did like this video and it did help you, then I'd really appreciate it if you would like this video and share it with others so that others can see the experience, and hopefully it'll help them as well.